Hello, hi. Hi, welcome to our, I think, third or fourth webinar. This time, I would like to give you actually a brief overview of all the platform capabilities. So from uh, hi, Alejandra. So from creating a very first study to getting results and analyzing them both in the qualitative way and in the quantitative way. So let's just give one more minute for others to join. I don't know what the time it is at your place, but we're trying to kind of like fit the webinars. So anyone participating from different time zones can fill his or her kind of like needs. So this time we are trying to focus more on the US kind of like time zones. Previous webinars were more for Europe, and we're still having one to run for Australia time zones. We're getting pinged by Australian customers and friends that we should create one webinar for them as well. Because like, they feel abandoned living on the other side of the world for probably majority of others. Okay, so it's 2 past. Let me then start by saying hello again to you. My name is Adam, and I'm a CEO and co-founder of a platform called Relay.io, a neuromarketing platform for doing online research, including webcam, eye tracking, facial coding, and other nice tools as well. So let me start by showing you a small presentation that I've prepared for today's event. Okay, it should be visible on your screens already. So what we are going to do today, I would like to tell you a few words about the differences between the offline and the online approach of handling eye tracking studies. Then I would like to give you a live live experience of how to participate, how does participants feel when they're participating in the webcam eye tracking studies. But probably I'm going to flip the number 3 and 4. So first we're going to create a study. I'm going to do a quick tour, and then we're going to participate in the test. Then I'm just going to jump to the data analysis. And as mentioned previously, I would like to show you either the qualitative type approach for the data analysis, perfect for user experience and longer sessions, qualitative for user experience and longer session, and quantitative approach for doing some higher volumes studies for recognizing kind of like attention points, attention elements on the which are bringing the most attention from more than just one user. Okay, at the end we're gonna have a quick QA session. So let's move on. So a few words about eye tracking and which is happening on the market right now. So imagine that you have to conduct an eye tracking study and eye tracking research with 20 stimuli on 100 participants. So here are your typical options. Either you have to purchase a pretty expensive hardware, probably set up the entire laboratory, then invite people to the laboratory, which, as you can imagine, will last pretty long time, because inviting 100 people into the laboratory and handling all the tests and testing, like setting up the equipment and so on, will last forever. So let's say that you can do like 10 people a day. So it means like at least 10 business days just to collect the data. And then after like 2 weeks, you're gonna have the beautiful sets of the data to play with. And obviously there's are a few upsides of this solution, that since you're gonna use hardware which are specialized with eye tracking, you can expect a letter size accuracy. We like to call it like letter size accuracy, because like the accuracy is around, let's say, 1 letter or maybe 1 phrase. And the sampling rate of the hardware eye trackers is very often in between 30 to 240 hertz, which gives you the ability to see more kind of like saccadic movements. So for psychological research, pretty good option. But we are definitely fans of the other approach, more rebel approach. So we are changing, we're switching, we're actually using already existing devices like webcams in your laptops, the webcams just like I'm talking to you right now, into a basic data collectors. And thanks to this, participants can stay at home, obviously, you're going to get the results immediately, and you don't have to struggle with all the pretty expensive setup of offline laboratory. Downsides, you're going to get not a letter size, but rather a button size accuracy, which is kind of like something like this. It's around 110 pixels, according to our latest research. But by the way, we're going to produce a new white paper really soon, so we're going to see how it really is. I think we're going to get a bit higher scores this time. We're doing a comparison with some hardware eye trackers. On the other hand, you're going to also get usually 30 hertz sampling rate, because webcams are capturing the data and processing the data 30 frames per second. So obviously the choice is in the researchers' hands, but as we can see that since everything is moving online, the trend is that also neuromarketing research is moving online. So that's the answer for handling neuromarketing research also online. So besides eye tracking, our platform allows you to do also a facial coding analysis, reaction time tests. Our system is storing how fast people are clicking on certain areas of the image or videos, and also how fast people are, for instance, pressing the keyboard buttons to, for instance, skip the test, skip the image or video which is already presented. Also, we have recently included our survey module, thanks to one of our companies which we were cooperating as I think two quarters ago. We were able to bring the entire survey module, and we're really happy about it, because there's no need to kind of like jump back and forth between relay survey provider, just to ask people question after the stims. It can be all done within our platform, and obviously the analysis dashboard with the ability to export all the results as a CSV format. So it's all under single license, and it's all online. Relay allowed us to run research projects with the friction of the price of a typical eye tracking software or hardware, says Giovanni Federico, neuropsychologist from Italy. But not only Giovanni trusted us. We have more than 1,000 companies, including brands like Ipsos, Procter & Gamble, and lots of universities from over the world are using us to simply run researchers in their laboratory, not in their laboratories, but in their kind of like online classes and so on. I'm sure that taking step into this new approach, into webcam online-based approach, requires some kind of like leap of faith, because this is a new tool. This is something new for most of you, for most of us. So I'm here to help you take the leap of faith. And by saying this, I would like to start and present you how the platform looks from inside. Let me share my screen then. I believe it should be visible to you right now. If not, then please let me know over the chat if you cannot see it. But since no one is telling me that something is wrong, I assume that everything is fine. So this is how a Relay dashboard looks like. We're trying to bring some new key features kind of like on a weekly, monthly basis. For instance, we've just introduced the ability to clone the study. It's still in the testing servers. I think it's going to be released tomorrow. So kind of like we have our ears open to suggestions, and in case something is kind of like missing, then we're really happy to hear about it and help you out with bringing the feature, or try to kind of like help you achieve your goals. So going back to the process. So whenever you want to create a study, you have three options. You can either use images as a stimuli, videos, or live websites. So let's say that for this test purpose, we're just going to use an images-based study. Okay, so we have a few options here. This is the first step of the study creator, study setup. We can give the study a name, choose one from all the options here. I'll just leave them default. Basically, you can decide whether the items should be displayed in random order or not, to show separator between the images, ask participants about name, gender, and the age. So you can filter out later on based on these filters, on these variables. This is a beta feature that allows your participants to see their own results. It's not open for everyone yet. And there is an option to allow external tool integration. This is a wonderful tool for connecting Relay with some external panel providers or external service like Qualtrics, like I don't know, Prolific or any other tools. So basically, it allows you to set the finish URL. So the URL where participants are going to be redirected after the test. We have also 3 other URLs. These are very often maybe not necessarily needed by, but panel providers like to also get kind of like control of these 3. So whatever happens when the quota is full, whatever happens when the participant doesn't want to participate in the test, or if the participant is not allowed to participate in the test due to some conditions like wrong web browser or anything like this. So I'm just going to disable it. Here we have 2 more things to give the optional instructions. So let's say, hello, stranger, please take part in my eye tracking study. Hit next. Okay, second step is all about adding the stimuli. So let me just go and add some sample images from my desktop. Let me choose, I don't know, a planogram, an image poster, and a long website mockup. The website mockup is actually a screenshot of a website. There is a possibility to test live websites. They doesn't have to be screenshots, but since I chose the images-based study, then I have to upload an image, not to run the study on the live website. But thanks to this approach, I'm going to get the aggregated results because every participant is going to see the same kind of like image of the website. If I would use a live website as a stimuli, I wouldn't be able to do the aggregated analysis. It's just for the qualitative analysis, so recordings of every participant one after another. Okay, step number 2, content setup. Let me just move around with my stims. So I want the planogram to be displayed first, always, so I can pin this item here. These 2 are going to be presented randomized order because that's the study setup, as far as I remember. Yeah, show items in random order. So now for every stim, I have few options. So the first option is that I can type an additional instruction, which is going to be presented before each stim. So let's say, click the product you would purchase. I can also create a survey, which is going to be displayed after showing the stimuli. So let me add 1 question. It's choice question. Have you found the product you usually purchase? And it's going to be a yes, no answer. Let's say the minimum 1 choice. So it means that this is going to be required answer. And let's add another question. This can be a text answer. Let's say type in the product name you purchase. Okay, whatever. So let's say it can be something like this, and I'll allow this answer to be empty, so minimum 0 letters. So these 2 questions are going to be displayed after the stimuli, after the stim. Here I can set the maximum display time. Let's say that I want maximum 20 seconds. Watermark opacity is actually disabled for majority of users, but it allows you to cover the image with the watermark of the participant ID in case you're afraid that someone is going to take a screenshot of the test. But please tell us if you are interested in this feature. Here I can set this trigger, which is called finish on click. But before I do it, I'm just going to turn off the scrolling for this item, for this image, because I want it to be displayed full screen by default. I'm also going to turn off for this one, but this one I want to leave it on because it's a long scrollable item. So let's go to the finish on click. This allows me to select an area which is clickable. So in case someone clicks this area, which I'm selecting right now, he or she, the participant, is going to be forwarded to the next item. So I've just selected the entire image. So whenever someone clicks, then he or she is going to be redirected to the next image, which is going to be one of these 2. Okay. Let's take a look at 2 other stims. So here, let's say that we want to place an instruction. I don't know. Let's say find relay white paper. please find and click real eye. I want to set the maximum display time, let's say 60 seconds. And by the way, the test can be up to 60-minute long. It depends on the license. And also I will set up the finish on click. And in this case, I'm just going to create this button as an active element. And the middle image is just going to be as it is. So let's say that I want to display it for 20 seconds. I will show you the feature of the watermark, just in case you're interested in it. So let's say that I want 5 or 10% of opacity on this image. And I'll turn on the option to finish on key press. What it means that in case I want to skip to the next item, I can simply press any key on the keyboard and I'll be redirected. So I can even type a line of instruction here, press any key to stop. For instance, we can analyze how much time people need or how interesting is this poster, because how much time they need to skip it to the next item, and compare 2 or 3 posters to see how people react on them. Okay, I feel that the study is ready. I can right now either run the preview or run the study. So I'm pretty confident, so I'm not going to run this preview right now. I'm just going to run the study, and to do it, I have to attach participants. So what I want to say is that I'm willing to, I don't know, let's say invite 50 participants. And also I would like to speed up my fielding by inviting 30 real-life participants, English speaking, let's say US. We are bringing results from our connected panels, and we need around 24 business hours to bring you all the good quality results to the study. There are some limitations for the real-life participants, but in case you're interested in this feature, please let me know or browse our website to find how this feature works. Basically, we provide kind of like, we like to say it, like a random eyes to actually kind of like give you some more data for your research. Okay, so whenever the study is running, this is my study dashboard. Send the participation link to your panelist. This is the participation link, so this is the one I should share with my panelists. But before I do that, just a few more words about the panel. So I have here 2 basic tabs: the participants and the items tab. So the items tab is more for the quantitative type of research. I have all my stimuli here, or my images here, and I can quickly navigate to either survey results or to the heat maps. And on the participants tab, I'll see all the results one by one collected from the participants. So let me now transform into a participant. I'm going to participate in the test. There's also an option to take the participation link in different languages. For instance, all the instructions can be handled in Turkish, Polish, Chinese, Czech, anything, but I'll just go with the English one. Probably this is going to be the most convenient way for this webinar purposes. So the test begins. The first few instructions are all about informing the participant what is going on, what will happen in a second, what's going on, and few instructions about how to behave in front of the eye tracking study. So the 2 most important things are that the face has to be in pretty good lighting. It doesn't have to be super lighting conditions. We are sometimes doing tests in a very kind of like dark rooms, and it still works fine. And that the participants should minimize their head movements. I'll show you during the test what happens if the participants kind of like floats away during the test. We're trying to keep his or her head still as possible. So the calibration begins. The calibration is made out of 40 different calibration dots, which I have to hover my mouse over. So this is what I'm doing. I'm hovering my mouse. Meanwhile, I'm watching the dots. That's pretty kind of like behavioral thing that every person is doing. So before hovering mouse over something, he or she is watching it. And right now our system learns how the face look like in different lighting conditions. So as you have seen, there was white background, black and gray. After 40 dots, there will be a part of calibration check. So right now I'm just looking at these dots. So my mouse cursor is here. I'm just destroying these dots by looking at them. If I was able to do it, it means that I'm calibrated well. In case I wouldn't be able to destroy these dots, then I would have to calibrate again. Okay, the test begins. Hello, stranger. Please take part in my tracking study. That's the main instruction. And we should see the planogram first. Click the product you would purchase. So this is the planogram. I'm trying to look more or less when I'm moving my mouse, just to give you a perspective of the accuracy. Actually, I'm looking here. And I'm just going to click Coca-Cola. Have you found the product you usually purchase? Yes. Type in the product name you purchase every day. Okay, let's say milk, cheese. Press any key to stop watching this poster. So we have the movie poster. I just move my head away to show you what happens if participants do the same. So they have to kind of like go back to the more or less to the basic position. Okay, so I'm still watching the poster and I'm pressing a space bar whenever I'm bored. Please find and click Rely White Paper button. Okay, and here you can see that we have kind of like live experience of the scrollable website. So I'm looking somewhere, I'm looking and scrolling. Obviously, all the mouse movements and the clicks are also being stored. Rely white paper. So I found it, clicking, and the test finishes. This is an optional survey which can be shown at the end. And my results are already stored right next to the test. So let's take a look how it looks from the researcher perspective. This is me, Adam May 34. My data quality was graded as good. And this is the study flow. So after calibration, I was presented with two instructions. Then there was a first image. Here are my answers to the survey. Another image, I pressed spacebar after 7,160 milliseconds. And then the stim was presented to me afterwards. So what I can do with this, I can play the recording to see how my eyes, my mouse actually was moving all over the image. We have a few options here for the display. Right now, what we're looking at, this yellow, obviously the orange dot is my gaze point. So this is the prediction of what I was looking at. But we can also see this, this fixation plot. It's a yellow line which is growing as long as my sight is staying at one place for a longer time. So this is the fixation plot, but there's also a possibility to show a gaze plot. So gaze plot is basically similar to fixation plot, but it's more, it represents all the data captured by eye tracker. So as you can see, the gaze plot is kind of like jumping all over. Meanwhile, fixation plot would only take into account places where my eyes stayed for a bit longer time. It depends on the researcher what he or she, what you would like to kind of like take into account during your research. So as you can see, this is gaze plot with the gaze point, and the entire session is kind of like recorded along with clicks and the mouth movements. Yeah. So we can see that after I click the button, click, everything ended. So this is the very first type of data analysis. There were also facial coding analysis enabled for this study. They are enabled for all the studies. And apparently it was pretty flat for most of the time. That's something that we are very often seeing when it comes to the image testing. The emotions are really great for testing video advertisements. And mostly people are, from our experience, from our database, are rather not smiling to the to the posters unless they are really, really, really funny or surprising. Okay, let's now go to the heat maps. But to show you the heat maps, so the aggregated analysis, I'm just going to jump and find another study which already has some results collected, because analyzing quantitative data on one participant doesn't make much sense. So I have a similar study running right up here. Everything else looks pretty much the same, as you can see. So there's a flow for every participant. I can ignore the participant in the case I feel that the data quality, I don't know, is somehow bad. By the way, we have this internal grading system from bad to perfect data quality. It all depends on usually on the frequency rate of how the webcam was capable of capturing the data, and a few other ingredients, like for instance, how much time participants was keeping her or his head still. So let's jump to the items, which is quantitative type of analysis, and let's go and see yeah, let's say this planogram, how it was viewed by 24 panelists. As you can see here, I have lists of all the panelists, but I can also filter out participants by some other factors. So for instance, by age, gender, and by tags. The tags are available here on the study dashboard, so I can tag participants. Let's say I want to tag this one as a valid user or anything like this. So I can filter out to see how participants by this particular tag were behaving. So let's say that we want to just filter out participants from average to perfect data quality. So we're going to have results from 22 out of 24 panelists. Also, I can see that the average time of displaying this stimuli was 8.8 seconds. And I can also see live what was happening, for instance, within the first 5 seconds. Let's say that this is our hypothesis that we want to see what was the behavior of people within the first 5 seconds. We can see that something was definitely happening here. And right now, what I'm doing, I'm creating the area of interest. And here on the left, I'm having immediate results for the area of interest. So I have all the metrics that are presented right over here. So let me choose some different area of interest, maybe with some. Okay, let's stick with the orange can for the 8.7 seconds. So we're trying to fit all the metrics that the typical offline eye tracker providers are providing. So average time to first fixation, TTFF, average time spent, total amount of fixation in this area, ratio, so how many participants actually have seen this area, average fixation duration, average first fixation duration, average amount of revisits, clicks, average time to first click, and some other things about the area of interest itself. As you can see, we have another tab here. It's called gazes. And the data is kind of like a bit similar because we have similar metrics. I mean, metrics are similar. So in this case, we have average time to first gaze, average time spent, amount of gazes, ratio, average revisits, and so on. The gazes are different from fixation in the way that the gazes are all the data points that our eye tracker collected. And the fixations is kind of like post-processed data, which is capturing the kind of like clouds of these dots and putting them into single fixations, attaching also the information about the fixation length. So for typical neuromarketing research, researchers are using data based on fixations because it basically means that the eye stopped for at least, in this case, 100 milliseconds at the certain area. And when we were talking about gazes, it's even if the eye was moving from, let's say, this area, this section over here to here, and our eye tracker captured that the eye was looking for just a moment right over here and here, while the eye was moving, then it's going to be presented here as the same data points, just as the ones from the corners. In fixations, if the eye is moving, then there won't be fixation because the eye was not there for at least 100 milliseconds. This, by the way, can be filtered out and customized easily to your research needs. These are the default values, which, as far as we're concerned, are rather giving the similar results about the fixation as the hardware eye tracker providers. Okay, this is also facial coding data for aggregated analysis. So this is not for one participant, but this is for all of the participants. And actually, we had a kind of like pretty funny image here. This is kind of like the neuromarketing meme about kind of like you will read this first, then you'll read this, then this one, and then you read this at the end. I know if you have seen it before, but we did some tests and people were kind of like at the beginning they were surprised, and after 3 seconds when they probably realized that they are being pranked and that their brain was being pranked, they were a bit kind of like happy, so they were smiling to the to the screen. There's also a neutral vertical. By the way, we graded from 0 to 1, and these are kind of like the biggest smile possible versus 0 flat face, and these are calibrated individually based on every participant's face. I mean, the 0 level is calibrated individually for every participant face. So in case someone's face default is kind of like a bit sadder or a bit more smiley than the others, then it's going to be a level 0. Okay, guys, I think I covered the platform demo in the way I want it. Let me just take a look at the presentation for a moment to triple check if I haven't missed anything. Data quality, metrics, conclusions, creating a study live participation. I think that covers most of the information that I had for you. So very quickly, let me jump to use cases. So as you can probably imagine, like eye tracking is not a new thing. It was out there for a long time. So the use cases are not something that is like super new. So very often eye tracking was and is used for several reasons. One of the reasons is product performance. So very often companies who are in the FMCG are using it to discover the visibility of the product on a, for instance, virtual shelf as an image of the shelf, also to see and detect the purchase decisions. They're doing comparison between different types of envelopes, different types of product, kind of like descriptions and so on. And also you can discover some biases. There is a kind of like the methodology called implicit association tests, which can give you the idea of how your brand is being kind of like what are the first associations to the brand that you're testing. So you can check, I don't know, if your brand feels more expensive than, for instance, your competition brand or like your customer's brand and so on. So this is a sample. You can kind of like test the planograms and see, compare how many fixations, how much time people need to spot a product on the shelf, how much time they're spending on it, and so on. I'm not going to jump to the sample results because I believe that we did that a moment ago. Another type of use case is a brand performance. So basically, you cannot compare the products, but as mentioned previously, you can compare the brands, weaknesses and strength of the brand. So this comes along with the implicit association test as well, as long as they detect biases and associations. Basically, you can see how your brand is different from the others by running surveys, by running key kind of like reaction time tests. This is a sample implicit association test between Heineken and Corona, and our participants were presented with different adjectives here in the middle, and they were asked to press letter A or L as fast as possible as they kind of like make up the decision. So we've been tracking the eye movements, so how fast the eye was actually noticing the brand after seeing the adjective, and how fast they were pressing the letters to the corresponding brand. And these were kind of like images showed one by one very fast. So we had a lot of data to do the analysis with. This is called implicit association tests. So another use case, typical, probably the one that it's the most intuitive, advertising effectiveness, also for images-based campaigns, video-based campaigns. So it's obvious that you can understand where customers are heading their attention, what grabs the participants' attention first, second, third, and so on. Yeah, you can find out what factor influence purchasing decisions by making A/B tests. You can customize your video ads by doing A/B tests, do the facial coding analysis for the videos, ask people typical declarative answers and compare the declarative answers to the kind of like behavioral reactions. And you can spot negative moments, so you can kind of like get rid of the unwanted parts of the advertisements. This is a sample that we did for a Heineken campaign. We tested 4 advertisements from it's not clickable. I would like to show it to you for a moment. Let me. So we did a comparison on 4 different Heineken advertisements, and there it is. And we're able to detect which one brings more attention, more happy and surprised feelings. So we combined viewing an advertisement. We can click to see results. I'm really happy to show it to you. And after showing every advertisement, we also asked the participants to answer how much they liked the advertisement, and have they seen it before. So we can see that from the difference between the winning and the other advertisement was pretty significant, that people were simply smiling way more to the kind of like it brought more happiness to them. As long as that was the main goal of this campaign, then you could probably choose the winning advertisement, or at least have the candidate. This is the graph of the facial expression. So the happiness was here from the very beginning till the very end. I don't know why the video didn't load. Maybe let me just try to refresh the page. Yeah, should be okay. So we can definitely see that this video advertisement was kind of like supposed to bring some, it brought some happiness. Actually, it was the moment when people were realizing that something was happening on the screen which was not supposed to, and after this the happiness level was kind of like increasing in time. But that was not the one, that was not the winning one. I believe that was this one that I'm just presenting right now was the winning advertisement, and it actually got the aha moment very clearly recognizable and visible. Actually, these studies are public, so you can, if your resources, case study video ads, you can access the results and play by yourself to see how it works. Oh yeah, that was the aha moment. So we can see what happened. Actually, kind of like the fun moment of this advertisement was when this no parking sign was presented. I don't know, the videos are not playing right now fluently. If it's the cause of my Wi-Fi, or yep. So basically, that was the aha moment of the advertisement, and right away after this moment, people were just smiling. Yep. So because they realized what's going on in the advertisement. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So obviously advertisement effectiveness, and the fourth one, last but not least, user experience, user interface research, especially for the qualitative studies where you can last very long sessions, up to like 60-minute sessions with the participants. You can enable voiceover, so you can ask your participants to think out loud what they're thinking while they're looking at your website, your mockups, and then analyze where they were stuck, or if they haven't noticed anything. This is pretty useful tool to do this kind of research and analysis. Okay, I believe this is about time to give voice to you. So I'll be happy to answer your questions if you have any. Please feel free to leave them on chat. Let me just check if you have already posted me some questions directly in the Q&A zone. Don't think there are questions at the moment. That's perfect. Means that I've covered everything properly. Oh, okay. I have a question sent to me privately. Please tell a bit more about the emotion recognition. Okay, so basically the facial coding tool that we have enabled since version 6.1, I believe, was there to give you the idea. Since our kind of like our algorithms are grabbing the webcam view and mapping the face of the participant, then we decided to kind of like take as much information as possible from this kind of like face mesh. Again, a note: we are not recording any participant's face at any time. We're not taking images of the participants' faces, so they can feel safe. And this is pretty important to warn them before the eye tracking test that they're not being recorded. But basically, we decided to add the facial coding tool, and we are using something called FACS. It's Facial Action Coding System. It was discovered by Paul Ekman in 1978. It was described by typical facial, kind of like facial muscle movements. So what he described, he mapped all the movements on people's faces. So, for instance, inner brow raiser, outer brow raiser, cheek raiser, nose wrinkler, and so on and so on. And he mapped these muscle movements into the most basic emotions. So, by the definition, he decided to he differentiated 7 different emotions: happiness, sadness, surprise, fear, anger, disgust, contempt. We decided to bring into our tool 2 most popular and 2 most wanted emotions that brands wants to bring to participants' heads and faces. So happiness and sadness. So, for instance, happiness means actually is 6 plus 12. So we have cheek raiser and 12. Yeah, 12. Oh, lip corner puller. So these 2 equals happiness. So what our algorithm is doing is, after every participant is calibrated, because during the eye tracking calibration, we're also calibrating the default face, facial values, facial muscles. So we know the point 0 of every participant individually. And then based on the movements, we can decide whether it was a happiness or a sadness emotion. So that's how it works. As mentioned before, I would recommend it for video-based studies, definitely, rather than images and website-based studies. Okay, waiting for some more questions. I believe there is this section QA, Brad. Yeah. You can post the questions directly in there or just private message me. That's also fine. Okay, I can see one more. Can I invite others? I don't know if you mean for the test or for the account, but basically it's like you can obviously invite others, participants to the test. There are just limits which can be handled right over here. So in case your study is getting filled, you can move around with these numbers and increase the amount of participants on the go. And in case you were referring to the ability to collaborate with others, there's an option called collaboration, and you can, after pressing this key, you're going to get a special link to invite others to your account. And if they access to your account, you're going to share all the license limits with others. Hope this answers your question. Oh, sorry, I haven't shared my screen while I was answering it. So basically, just once again, after going to account settings, there is this section called collaboration, and from here on, you can get access to the link. Sorry about it. Okay, guys, if there's no more questions, then please feel free to reach us out. We are here to help you out, to answer your questions. We have this chat bubble here on the bottom right. So depends which time zone you are in. You may expect that one of us is going to answer your questions and give you some more additional information. That's it from my side. Thanks for joining, and hopefully you learned something new and you'll be able to use it in your life, in your field work, in your work. Thank you. Bye. Have a good evening.